Party's not a bat, he's a man who fights crime. And we're gonna watch him fight for a minute at a time. With John and Niall and a guest who doesn't rhyme. It's Bat Minute!
Attention, citizens of Gotham. Welcome once again to Bat Minute and Robin, the show that teaches you all about Mesopotamian poetry one line at a time. Or we're about to. I am one of your hosts, John Parker.
And here I am, a card-carrying member of the United Nations.
Oh.
It's me, Niall McCowan.
Even
though I'm pretty sure, looking at those guys, like there's a couple of people who are in the United Nations in there as well.
There are indeed. I have questions. I have many a question about this. But we are joined once again by our very, very special guests from the Time Warp Radio, Hayley and Katie.
Hi.
Whoop, whoop, whoop. Thank you once again. You managed to return. Usually we have to force people. We have to force people to come back, but you actually wanted to, so that's good.
We kind of like you guys a little bit. Yeah.
But anyway, we are here to talk about minute 17. Minutes. Oh.
Is it? Oh, no, it is 17. Oh, for some reason I had my notes set to minute 18. I was like, what the hell?
Nope,
He wanted to
17.
just skip right over. He was like,
Screw
I
you.
don't need that middle minute. Nuh-uh.
Nothing happens in this one anyway, so.
Well, the minute starts with a sexy nerd, and it ends with a not-so-sexy convict. Well, maybe.
Depending on your taste. Of course.
My taste, no. But we are back as Pamela wonders why she can't get into his lab.
Or she refers to it as the mysterious Gilgamesh wing.
The Gilgamesh wing. Yeah.
For a brief period, like a while back, I was like, we should rename the Bat Minute Listeners Cave the Bat Minute Mysterious Gilgamesh Wing. And then...
Ooh. No, but Leprechaun Minute is so much better.
That's the thing, yeah. Like, this was prior to that. And like now, finally, you can't just rename these things willy-nilly. People don't know. For that April Fool's episode, we renamed the Listener's Cave to the Leprechaun Minute Shoe Shiners Society, and then we got stuck with that name throughout the entirety of April.
Yep, they changed the rules. Facebook changed the goddamn rules without telling anyone.
It's terrible, though. So what if you make a typo? And you just have to wait a month for the typo in your name? It's a ridiculous rule.
Well, then you better be careful.
Yeah, type carefully.
Yeah, I guess.
Very carefully.
But someday I am still half time. I was like, we could call it the Gilgamesh Wing. But then I think it would be, we've already got, people listening to prior seasons and they're like, I want to join the Listener's Cave. And then they can't find it. So they're like, so we have to stick with it, I guess.
Yes.
I was about to say, let's do it. But now you've pointed that out. No.
Yeah,
But what if you do Listener's Cave, the mysterious Gilgamesh?
Oh my God, we could for this season.
Yeah.
Niall, it's happening.
I love it.
It's happening.
I'm in that group, so I already approve.
So I was gonna say the reason Pamela's not allowed into this lab, right? We know this guy's crazy. We haven't met him yet, but ignoring that for a minute, it's probably because she comes across as crazy. If I was her boss, I'd be like, stay outside.
I think maybe that's why they've been teamed up, is just like, get those two nut jobs together. No one else can work with them.
Get those two both outside, please.
It's like, we have a grant to send somebody to South America. Hey! Pamela, Jason, your boats come in. What troubles me with this, though, is that these are two adult human beings, and yet Jason Woodrue has got his bedroom door here with his "No Girls Allowed" stickers on, and his "Keep Out Mom" and all this, like this giant door with like "Keep the." It looks like he's like a 13-year-old.
It's
like,
ironic.
Yeah, it's like, no, you're not allowed in. No one comes in, okay? It's like, you two are both people in your 30s or 40s or whatever. Like, you just say to her, don't come into my lab.
But, okay, cool. Yeah.
That was even more evidence that it was like pandering to 8-year-olds and 12-year-olds.
Because they would identify with that. Like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no girls allowed.
They're in a prison like, it has nothing but locks. Yet for some reason, he's put up these signs to say, don't come in, but he hasn't locked the door. So,
Oh man.
unless it's just like, oh yeah, that door's broken. So, god damn it, I'm going to have to put up the signs.
That's the worst place he could have put his goddamn lab then.
Yeah,
I
it's a whole
chose
building.
the one room in this prison that the door doesn't lock.
He didn't notice till he'd set everything up. He's, I can't move it all now.
Yeah. And then she's moved in. He's like, oh, you go to the other side of the prison. She's like, no, I'm not moving. Like,
You move, I'm not moving.
he's like, no Pamela's allowed. He puts that up on the.
But then he lets one Pamela in. He's got another friend called Pamela.
Yeah.
It's no Pamela's.
Yeah, one of the Pamelas is that Soviet lady from the ununited nations. She's allowed in, but
Oh, and I made some notes about Gilgamesh.
yes.
Now, I don't know a lot about this. I imagine I'm going to butcher pronunciations, so I apologize to people who are into Babylonian and Mesopotamian things. But the standard Akkadian epic of Gilgamesh was composed by a scribe named, Sinleki Unini. I think I've done that right. During the Middle Babylonian period.
Are we talking about Blackadder at the time?
Whipple, yes. Which is like 1600 to 1155 BC. It's based on a bunch of older stories, though. There's a bunch of older Gilgamesh stories, but this is the one that's famous. It's the epic. Gilgamesh is a demigod of superhuman strength. So you can see where this is coming from when you read that. The older Gilgamesh stories, that's not the case. So I was reading them first, like, what's this got to do with Bane? And then I read this, and superhuman. Makes sense. And Gilgamesh befriends the wild man Enkidu, and together they embark on loads of journeys, most famously defeating Humbaba and the Bull of Heaven, who is sent to attack them by Ishtar. Another great movie, Ishtar.
Oh, yeah. Warren Beatty and Dustin Hoffman said this after them.
Yeah, there you go. And that was after Gilgamesh rejected her offer to become her consort. This always seems to happen with gods and things like this, doesn't it? It's ridiculous.
Always.
Gods, they're just trying to get it on.
It's like Zeus is everything. It's like, you want to have sex with me? Not really. God, lightning.
And then Zeus as well likes to trick people. Like, today I'm going to look like a bird.
Would you have sex with a bird?
Does that sway you? Huh?
Lightning.
What about a bull?
Oh.
Yeah.
Let's get it on. But his friend there, Enkidu, dies of a disease sent by the gods as a punishment. So Gilgamesh gets scared of his own death and visits the sage. Oh, Jesus Christ. Utnapishtim, the survivor of the Great Flood. See, all these religions have a Great Flood.
He's a guy who's called Tim. He likes to nap. So
yes,
Napish
exactly.
Tim.
And hoping to find immortality there. That's why he visits him. But he fails all of the trials set before him and returns home to Uruk, which made me think of Lord of the Rings, Uruk-hai, realizing that immortality is beyond his reach. So it's quite a bit of a downer ending there. But I thought that was also relevant to Bane, because Bane might be a superhuman, but he's not invincible. It's important lessons here. They've thought about this. Believe it or not, they thought about this movie. They didn't rush everything.
No, that carries through, because that's like, from what I saw about, my favorite part of the movie, the nipple suits, was that they wanted to emulate the Greek form, and that Greek statues were anatomically correct. They didn't blur out elements that might embarrass people. They were like, no, there are nipples here. Yeah. There is a penis here.
But see, what I thought it was interesting with this, though, is that because it's not in the original, the comic, The Origins of Bane, which is covered in Vengeance of Bane. The first thing he ever appears in is called Vengeance of Bane.
That seems like it should be the second one.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's like, who is he?
Don't worry about it. It's not important.
It's fine.
But yeah, they don't specify this whole business of like, oh yeah, a guy in a prison gets experimented on. They don't call it Project Gilgamesh. For a moment, I was thinking, oh, maybe Akiva Goldsman and Joel Schumacher did a bit of work here.
No.
Then it turns out no, it's from the cartoon.
Yeah.
Like they just saw it in the cartoon where they called it Project Gilgamesh, so that's where they got it from. But I did think it is interesting because you can read it as like specifically in the cartoon they do say, oh, Gilgamesh, like the warrior, the ultimate warrior.
Oh, the wrestler.
Yes, steering the plane into Batman, bro. So we read it that way. But then I also thought as well, because I also looked a little bit into Gilgamesh, and just the fact that I was bringing up things like, classic stories of Gilgamesh, this famed warrior who was a king, and Aikido, who is his best friend. And they went up against the Bull of Heaven because Gilgamesh spurned Ishtar, and it's like Ishtar's a bit like Poison Ivy. She sends the Bull of Heaven after Batman and Robin, who are Gilgamesh and Enkidu. And apparently throughout history, Gilgamesh and Enkidu have had a homoerotic subtext to them, which also works very well for Batman and Robin. So I was like, it does work in a deeper level.
And Robin
in a weird way
almost dies.
Yeah, totally. So it's like, it's almost that might be completely accidental, but it does work.
It's all deliberate. It is deliberate, definitely. They've thought about this, and I really appreciated that because I've heard the name Gilgamesh, but I didn't really know what it was.
Well, and I really appreciate you guys giving the backstory of Gilgamesh because all I could think of was Gargamel from Smurfs, and I was like, that's not the right thing.
Oh,
It should be.
Would kill to see John Glover playing Gargamel, though. That'd be fantastic.
Holy crap, that'd be amazing.
It's literally all I could think of.
To put the cherry on top of that whole theory, though, because Ishtar, who could be the stand-in for Poison Ivy, is also, well, she is the goddess of sex and love and stuff. And she's also known to some people as Venus. And of course, Uma Thurman played Venus in The Adventures of Baron Munchausen. Oh my god, it all ties in.
Holy crap.
Again, that's definitely accidental, but it still works. It still works.
But everything else, I definitely think you guys are right on because everything is deliberate on a movie set. Everything yes, 1 billion%.
Because even before she leaves her lab, you see in the background there's posters of venomous animals, and you got a snake, and at the top is a bat. Oh, I was like, oh yeah, like Batman. And of course, apparently, some certain breeds of vampire bats do have venom. Apparently, it's an anticoagulant because it's designed to stop the blood from clotting, so they can suck on you for longer.
Interesting.
Well, not on people, but on cows. So it's like, oh yeah, they're going into I thought it might have been a bat and a bird. Like they're going for Batman and Robin, then snake, which would be Poison Ivy, I guess.
You need a poisonous bird.
I think it might just be 2 bats though, which is a bit disappointing.
Are there any poisonous birds? I don't believe so. Tying into dinosaurs again, because of course birds are descendants of the dinosaurs.
I think I like the whole aspect though of snakes as well with Poison Ivy, because snakes are kind of like vines, I guess, as well. So if you're going for a snakish or an animal or a plantish animal, I guess a snake would work. But
So I always thought that as well. That's what they're going for, and she should be able to control the animals. She should be Ace Ventura but evil. Although, as we've discussed, you could argue that Ace Ventura is evil because he's transphobic.
Plus, we already had Jim Carrey last movie, so we don't need. Although I will, now I'm curious, Hayley. If you've never seen the other movies, I was like, wow, I kind of want you to go and watch the other ones now and see.
Yes.
Come back for a special episode, giving your verdict on 89 through forever.
I would totally be down because, no reason not to, and it's just
all
because
on
I've
HBO
never...
Max now too.
Yeah.
I just
also, you can come as well, Katie. I didn't mean to cast you out. No, you're.
I've seen them.
Screw you.
She's seen them, so she knew why she was disappointed watching Batman and Robin. I was just, along for the ride. I was having a good time.
I think you're actually probably onto something, right? Watch this one first, and then you're not, you've got nothing to compare it to, really. So now when you watch the other ones, it's just going to add to your enjoyment. Like, oh, this is even better.
I
might actually just go back to the first one where you're like, oh my God, it's so goddamn serious.
Well, I was going to say that the Nolan movies, I think, were able to get so dark because I think the general consensus for Batman and Robin was it was not dark enough.
Yes.
So then it allowed it to go pitch black dark,
Definitely.
they're hard movies to watch for me.
There
the Nolan
are
Batman
definitely
movies.
no holy rusted metal Batman moments in the Nolan films.
No.
God.
No. And
No.
so it's like, I think this even is good for people who are like purists for the Nolan films, of being like, well, aren't you glad that it's not a Nolan movie? Like, aren't you glad that it's this silly, like you said, it's directed by a gay man, so it has a very interesting perspective.
Yeah.
And yeah, I loved it. I thought it was great.
It's full of camp. That's really what it is. Oh, God, now I've said that, I want to see a John Waters Batman.
Oh God, yeah. Oh, totally.
Ooh,
I can
yeah.
imagine probably back in the 70s, John Waters tried to make a Batman, and it was like, nah, I couldn't legally. We filmed it, but then they like they banned it or whatever.
I think modern day John Waters could maybe get away with it because he's now proven that he can restrain himself from the extreme stuff. Whereas back then, it was like, oh, he's that crazy guy. No way.
That's the thing. I wouldn't want him to. I'd be like,
Right.
no, if you're doing it, go full John Waters with it. But
Yes.
Maybe not the sexual element.
yeah,
I don't know.
But he'd be a great penguin. Just him himself with the pencil mustache and the cigarette holder and
As
stuff.
a character, that's a different story. I don't know if he'd sign on to direct again. But if he were cast to just be himself,
Hell
as a
yes.
Batman villain, to include himself in that list of classic iconic performances.
Well, surely, though,
he
actually,
might.
thinking about it, he should be the Joker, Niall, and he should keep the mustache.
Oh yeah, just paint. Well, things they should have done what they should have done with Cesar Romero is paint the mustache green.
Yeah.
Instead of just painting white over it. So they could totally do that with John Waters. But
Why not? Do it.
I am an advocate for them making a new Batman TV show in the vein of the 60s show.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, John Waters coming in as like Egghead or just like some random supervillain.
Yeah.
And then like,
Yes.
the next week is like, oh hey, we've got, RuPaul or something. Like just every week just have a completely different
This is
your celebrity.
This is a missed opportunity. Someone right now who's in Hollywood that's listening to this podcast needs to produce this show.
Okay,
Because
yes.
that
Please.
is like 100% the next. There is a market for that. Because WandaVision kind of touched into sitcoms again and
Yeah.
using comic book characters in sitcom writing scenarios. Like, why not do Batman again? Bring it back.
Niall, let's work on this
Bring it
tomorrow.
back.
Come in, Aubrey Plaza is Batman.
Oh, yeah. I'm up for that. Let's do it.
What, okay, but
Jermaine
what
Clement is Robin. It's like,
But
yeah,
what
there you
about
go.
Aubrey Plaza as Robin?
Yeah. To be honest, I'll just take Aubrey Plaza in any role in any movie.
Same.
What if she's Alfred?
Yeah.
What if she's the techie that's working in the on site and she doesn't go fight crime, but it's because she's like a computer whiz.
Okay,
Yeah.
but the thing is I want an Aubrey Plaza Nightwing.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
you just want Aubrey Plaza cast in every character.
No, because Robin becomes.
Oh.
He makes he does a thing and then he gets goes.
Well-
I won't ruin it for you. You don't know the
I
Batman.
don't. I'm looking at Katie with wide eyes right now.
She
I
doesn't know
think-
the Batman.
I think we all just want Aubrey Plaza. Is
Yes.
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 The thing is, though, because I know, and it'll actually be a different, because she played a Marvel villain in Legion, to great effect. And the thing is, I would actually, like, without it being in any way like a campy thing, if they're doing Poison Ivy now, Aubrey Plaza, it's like, it's perfect,
could
perfect
see it.
casting for
I
that
could
role.
see it.
And it's just like, her with Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn. So there you go. It's a couple made in heaven right there.
That is a dream I've had. Aubrey Plaza and Margot Robbie making out. Yeah,
I would
that's
watch that
definitely-
documentary.
Yeah.
So Pamela, she still wants to get into this lab, this secret lab, and she says, "What is he doing in there?" And the way she said it just to me, it was like acted, almost like I'm watching a 30s Universal horror.
Oh, yeah, everything about this is, and as it goes on, the origin of Poison Ivy is extremely old school horror.
Yeah.
Like it's like a Tim Burton. It's like something he would have loved to have done. It's just one of the only downsides to the portrayal of Pamela Isley here is that it's essentially kind of like Selena Kyle 2.
Oh yeah,
It's like a sequel to the Catwoman they did. And Tim Burton did a fantastic job with that. But
Yes.
imagine his ideas of like, oh yeah, like a woman who can control plants and gets to live in a Frankenstein castle and stuff over at the Frankenstein place. Oh my God, the time is life of this.
Oh God, yes. But she does eventually decide, you know what, I'm going in there. I don't care. And she ventures through and hears, I was going to say her mentor speaking, but, that's now been questioned, their dynamic. But it's hilarious. We've alluded to it because he's speaking and he says, to the assembled crowd, which is very Rocky Horror. They're up on a balcony.
Oh, this whole set. I think it's not even specifically like we saying, Frankenstein. It's much more Rocky Horror than it is Frankenstein because of the audience.
The way they're standing.
There's like the observers above they're in like the observation deck. Yeah.
Yeah.
If he had come out and was just like, tonight, my unconventional conventionalist. I'm like, yes, it's there.
But his line he comes out with, oh my God. Ladies and gentlemen of the United Nations. Now, my question is, in the world of the film, is this genuinely a group that call themselves that, or is he joking?
Well, then it's kind of like an oxymoron then, because if they're ununited, then they shouldn't be meeting up as a group. I guess.
Yeah. What if they all fight each other as soon as it's done?
It's like all of the heads of. Well, clearly they're evil. Like there's different evil people that are trying to get this super soldier for not evil reasons.
Not so not evil.
And I would believe like arms dealers putting their like tabling their stuff, their things out like as soon as they walk in the door because they know that this is like a business meeting.
Yeah.
And like it's also if they're trying to observe their enemies, that's a really important business meeting.
It is. I'm not going to bring up yet. I'm going to save it till next minute. The makeup of the group because you don't see them properly here, but there are definitely some people in this group who probably want to keep an eye on the other people in the group. You're on to something.
But as we get in though, one we should say in terms of saving things for future minutes, of course, this character is Dr. Jason Woodrue, the Floronic Man, who is actually, I didn't know up until like years after I'd seen Batman and Robin. I didn't realize that's who this was supposed to be, but he's a major character in DC Comics.
Well, let me just say as well, like the listeners know that I come to these as a fan of the films. The comic stuff to me is new. So I've recently, it was over a year ago, bought that Ivy and Harley Quinn crossover comic. It's like a 6-issue series. And the villain is the Floronic Man. But I'd never heard of him before. So I was like, I read it, I loved it, he was a great villain. And then when I was researching for this, I type in, Dr. Woodrue, and it brings up the exact picture of the Floronic Man from those comics. I'm like, wait, hang on. No, that's the wrong character. That's not what I'm looking for. It's the same guy.
They get into the deep comic lore of the Floronic Man, which we'll do while but we'll save that for later minutes, I think. Because we got to get into the guy playing him here, the fantastic John Glover. In full-on Dave Vanian hairstyle he's got going on here.
Hell yes. In the 80s, Dave Vanian of the Damned did do this hair. I have no idea why, but it was fantastic. No. And then Tim Burton loved it, so put it in Sweeney Todd, even though it's not in the stage show.
Oh, it looks great. Well, to be fair, though, it's on top of Johnny Depp, so I think
Yeah.
Well, doesn't Tim Burton's hair kind of have that look in general?
Yeah, but I don't think he's got the streaks, plus it's not as cool. Yeah. Like, Tim Burton's hair is okay, but it ain't Sweeney Todd.
No,
I don't think.
And
it's not styled by a Hollywood hairstylist daily.
And as problematic as Mr. Depp may be at the moment, he looks great in anything.
Oh yeah. But I also think though what they're going for here is very specifically Bride of Frankenstein.
Yeah. Well, that's what Dave Vanian was doing. Apparently, I know I said like, why is he doing it? But apparently, that's the thing he was going for. But he tried to make it his own.
But But I think, or you could say it's Magenta from the end of Rocky Horror. Of course, it also has this.
Exactly.
I'm wearing that shirt right now. Oh my gosh.
But I think, again, that's also going into, like, the gay coding as well, because Bride of Frankenstein is, of course, a homosexual allegory in itself with, Dr. Pretorius and Dr. Frankenstein creating life without the aid of a woman, basically. And I wouldn't be surprised if Joel Schumacher was aware of that. So it's like, well, I can't just make him look like Dr. Pretorius because no one would get that. But if I do a Bride of Frankenstein reference, maybe some people would read as a subtextual tone to that, perhaps, or it could just be like, mad scientist, looks like that. But
I don't know. I'm going to give him some credit. I think you were right
Yes.
first there.
Yeah, it probably started as the looking up mad scientists, and then he was like, oh, I can actually make this referential. Great.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, okay, because I know there's a meme going around of, you can tell someone's personality from the movie they know Tim Curry from.
Yeah.
I'd almost say the same with John Glover, because he is just like, oh yeah, because to me, no matter how many times I see this guy and stuff, I mean, he's in a lot of stuff. To me, he's like, oh yeah, Lionel Luthor from Smallville. Like, it's been 20 years, but it's still like, oh, there's Lionel. Like, how's it going, Lionel? And I do think, like, I wonder, because do you guys know, would you know John Glover to see him? Like, if he popped on screen, you'd be like,
no.
And I looked him up, and I wasn't, like, nothing was, like, hitting me as familiar.
Oh, because he's like Daniel Clamp, the Trump stand-in Gremlins 2, which is bizarrely his most likable character, potentially.
Yeah. You start off hating him, and he does change throughout the film. Yeah.
It's good for a movie as scathing towards capitalism. It kind of paints. I guess so. They're going for also like what you call him, Richard Branson as well.
But he understands that his aggressive capitalist ways are wrong. He changes.
But Scrooged. He's in the beginning of RoboCop 2. He's got like 132 acting credits to his name. This guy been a big stage actor and stuff as well. Notably, big DC guy as well, because not only did he play Jason Boudreaux and Lionel Luthor, Lex Luthor's dad in Smallville, which I always, because he also has a big greasy mane of hair in that.
Yes.
And I always he had an antagonistic relationship with his son in that, who was bald. And I always wondered if they just gave him the hair. As like, this was like Lionel Luthor being spiteful to his kid.
I'm going to grow this hair
up.
just to annoy you.
Yeah, I'm just going to grow this massive mane of hair just to stick it to you because I'm an asshole. But he also did the voice of the Riddler in the Batman animated series as well. So
I didn't realize that. I think the reason I didn't pinpoint his face is because he reminds me of Willem Dafoe in Spider-Man when he's the Green Goblin.
Yeah.
So I've just always
Dafoe-ish,
gotten them confused in my mind.
See, to me, he reminds me in this role of Marv from Home Alone. He looks like him.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
And you bringing up Lionel Luthor, Niall, is weird because in this scene, there's a mystery bidder on the phone, not just the people here. And my first thought was, this is the time for a crossover. This should be Lex Luthor on the phone.
I think you can headcanon that and just pretend that it is Lex Luthor.
I like
because they've already alluded to Superman.
Yeah.
So why not have it be Lex Luthor? Yeah, makes total
That's
sense.
smart.
He would want this.
Yeah. Also, in case people are shouting at their podcatchers, John Glover was also in Shazam, another DC property,
yeah.
where he was also the aggressive capitalist father to a bald bad guy's son. So I don't know if he's getting typecast or something, but this is the weird thing. Yes, it's John Glover's
That's
career.
what I do now. Yeah.
Although it's weird because when it goes in here, we got this very distinctive green light over on the atop the slab where his test subject is going to go.
Slab.
That's all. But the thing is that distinctive green, of course, made me think of like, oh yeah, it's like the Riddler. It's like the friggin' Hayley you wouldn't have seen, but the last movie, green was all over that goddamn thing.
Yeah.
And the thing is, the whole plot line of that. Speaking of headcanons, I'm making this my personal headcanon. And throughout the entire last season, we were wondering about the MacGuffin of that movie, the box, which was a device the Riddler created that sucked people's brainwaves out so he could grow intelligent. And we were always like, why doesn't it seem to make people like dumb? it seems like it just takes their brainwaves and they're fine afterwards. But I'm liking to think that maybe Jason Woodrue, he got all his gear here in like a Enigma Tech liquidation sale when Enigma was sent to Arkham. Because all his gear is like, it's all stuff that was in Enigma's lab at the beginning of the movie too, like all the freaking little electric jigabobs and stuff like that. So I'm choosing to believe, in order to quell the test subject that comes out, this is the box he's got over the thing, and he actually is sucking out his brainwaves. He's modified it so he can make the subject more docile and less intelligent, because it makes sense to me. And then it's also like a nod to the Riddler, because John Glover played the Riddler. So it's like, I know that's not what's happening.
It is in our minds now.
But yeah, to me, that's totally what's happening in this instance here. Also, should note as well, I did, speaking of John Glover and Lex Luthor, the guy who played that part, Michael Rosenbaum, was listening to the episode of Michael Rosenbaum's Inside of You, which is a podcast he does. It's actually very good. He talks a lot about his mental health issues and stuff in it. And he brought on John Glover, and fascinating interview with him, just some of the stuff that got brought up in it, where, because John Glover's an openly gay man as well. And has been since the mid '70s. And the fact too that like he actually worked on Joel Schumacher's first movie, The Incredible Shrinking Woman, as an evil capitalist. So I'm thinking he might be a bit typecast. And the fact, I don't know if you guys are aware, but like Joel Schumacher has boasted that he's slept with like 200,000 people basically in his lifetime. So the fact John Glover's here, I was like, I'm pretty sure those guys got it on at some point.
Good for them.
Those numbers, man.
Good for them.
Did he like keep a journal or did he just tally?
I think he just tallied. I don't think he had the time to write a journal. He was too busy.
Banging.
That's like constant boning.
Oh yeah. I like to think though, like this isn't. He's clearly not a hit it and quit it because he's called John Glover back, or maybe John Glover was the one who got away. We never know. But
Great White Buffalo.
But as Michael Rosenbaum and John Glover were talking, they're saying, like, I remember back in the Smallville days in the trailer, Michael, you were always blaring like this 80s music and stuff. And Michael Rosenbaum's like, yeah, I remember. I was playing Hall & Notes one time, and you turned to me and is like, I f***ed the little one. And Michael Rosenbaum's like, what? He's like, yeah, one of Hall & Notes. One of the two of them. I had sex with them. And apparently back then and now he's just like, yeah, which one? He's like, I don't know, yeah, John Oates,
the little one, yeah.
The little one.
But then as he goes on, he's just like,
one.
yeah, and I also it was just promiscuity back in the day. It's like, I also had that other guy, and he's like, Daryl Hall. He's like, no, the other singer, Freddie. And he's like, Freddie Mercury. And he's like, yeah, me and Freddie Mercury hooked up. It's like, and he's just like, the fact that he's just sort of so offhandedly like, oh, some singer from back in the day.
That Freddie
like,
guy.
If I had sex with Freddie Mercury, everybody I ever met would be hearing about it. As soon as I met them, I'd be like, that'd be in my introductory thing.
By the way, I had sex with Freddie Mercury.
Yeah, but the fact he was so just sort of like blasé and like, oh yeah, way back when. Oh, everybody was doing it. It was like,
no big deal.
All right, man.
Or it's just that same group, from the 70s that all hooked up with each other. They're like RuPaul, all the ones that went to Studio 54.
Yeah.
Like they're now just wealthy and old at this point. So they're like,
bad combination. RuPaul with your fracking.
But anyway, talking about evil doings. We of course do then have we have the introduction to the ununited nation, the mystery bidder, who seem to have been kept on hold. And then apparently from the Jewish wedding going on next door, and Antonio Diego is lifted in on a chair. And
that's made my life.
So like, I'm just getting married now. I'm getting forced into this. God damn, I didn't know about this.
Please put the music in as well.
It's like, yeah. At the end of the movie, like once he's back to normal, goes back to South America, and his wife's sitting there like, where the hell have you been?
I'm Jewish now. So this is Antonio Diego, a criminal.
Mm-hmm.
And, he spits at our good doctor here. I get why. He's being... We know what's about to happen, even if you don't know who Bane is or any history. You know some weird, creepy, messed up experiment. You don't experiment on prisoners. The worst people in history have done this. You know,
Yes, yeah, this
the
is-
Nazis have done this.
Yes.
To be fair, I think the American government also did this, but you could make a case for them as
not
well.
wrong.
Oh!
And Frankenfurter in Rocky Horror.
I think Antonio Diego looks like a war boy from Mad Max Fury Road.
He does. He does look like that. Yeah, very much so.
Yes.
It's me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Also, should say as well, this is actually like a little Jack Napier kind of thing, where the Joker didn't have a name up until Sam Hamm was just like, he's called Jack Napier. And this is like, yeah, Bane didn't have a name. Spoilers for the next minutes, or next week even, potentially, when he's named. This is the guy who turns out to be
What?
Bane. And yeah, Antonio Diego. This ain't that ain't a comic thing. That's a thing that was made up for this movie.
I like it though. I like it. I think you need that weird tragedy. He's a horrible person, obviously, but should this be happening to him? No.
No.
So it's going to make him even worse, if anything.
Although are you guys aware of? Because this is kind of cribbing on the origin of Bane, but kind of not. Like it's kind of accurate, but it's kind of also not as well. Because do you know what the actual backstory of Bane is? Like, 'cause it's
All
a bit
I
weird.
know is the Tom Hardy version, and that didn't he break Batman's back?
Yes.
Yes.
That is not the origin, though.
No.
That's
and
all I know. That's like my high level Bane knowledge.
The Tom Hardy one, I like Tom Hardy a lot, but I don't like
very
that
pretty.
movie, and I don't like Bane in that movie.
Sure.
I've said this before. We were sat in the cinema, me and Niall actually, and I was just like, that voice he's doing, this is a joke, right? Like, this is a comedy bit. He's going to drop doing that after like 5 minutes.
No.
No.
Kept
no,
it the
no.
whole time.
Oh, I love that voice.
Oh.
I wish this guy had. He's come, unhand me.
Like, the only thing that would make up for it is that Tom Hardy's really pretty, but they don't even show his face.
No.
Yeah.
Or his ass.
Or
Or
his
his no. Disappointment.
We need the butt. Come on.
Yes.
This
Yeah,
is just
we
making
need
me
the
think
butt.
of. This is just making me think of
butt
Cecil
crack.
B. Demented, one of my favorite movies, and Michael Shannon is in it, and what's his famous line in it where he's just like, "Tell me about Mel Gibson's dick and balls." That's all he wants to know about.
Michael Shannon, though, could be like, if he could bulk up, could be a pretty intense Bane
Yeah.
actually as well. But
Well, we've said many times Michael Shannon should be Frankenstein's monster. So same thing.
appropriate for these minutes. Yeah, there you go. But no, the actual backstory to Bane, as again introduced by Chuck Dixon in Vengeance of Bane, the first issue we appeared in for whatever reason. Basically, Bane's backstory for musical fans is the backstory to Javert from Les Miserables, where it's weird. It's like his father was upset the government, and so his mother then was sent into prison. And then he, as now that his father has evaded the authorities, he has to live out the sentence of his father. So he grows up inside a prison. So, I was born inside a jail. If Bane started singing and was just doing Javert, 100%, everyone would love this movie. I don't think anyone would have any complaints of like, oh yeah, there's a random musical character just showed up in the center of this whole thing.
Why not?
I'm kind of okay with it.
Let's do it. Let's do it. I don't think this actor's been in this actor has been in a musical, so he couldn't do a little song here. You'd have to recast him. I did look him up. He's been in quite a few things in like odd little roles. Yeah, because he was the mummy in the Monster Squad. Shout out to Monster Squad Minute. He's the man who can't breathe in Insidious Chapter 3, which I like all of them. I don't care that they're cheesy. I think they're great. The third one's the worst one, though. He's Jason Stryker in X2, X-Men United.
Pretty major character.
Yeah.
He's like he's the one sitting behind Professor X with that staring him down, making him think he's a little boy.
Yeah.
The whole nefarious scheme of that
And
movie
I never would
revolves around this guy.
Never would have known it was this guy. And he also is Theodore Victor Allen in Seven.
Who is the sloth victim.
Yeah.
He's the guy they had strapped to the bed.
I do really like that film.
Oh, it's amazing. It's so. I just realized I didn't say the goddamn actor's name.
Yeah, Michael Reed McKay.
Yeah, kind of important when I'm talking
Yeah,
about
his
his accomplishments.
reputation supersedes him, apparently.
You all know who
That's
he
all.
is.
But he does, like, yeah, like, the fact, too, again, friggin' that The Batman trailer, it just looks like, yeah, Batman through 7. Like, we're doing a Batman, but it's 7. And I was like, oh, yeah, maybe get this vibe. Let's get this dude back in. Why not? But yeah, so, comes in, gets slapped down, gets slapped on the slab over here. Our Javert Bane. Also, again, too, Javert, guy dead set on taking down a wealthy public citizen who actually had a secret identity. It's like, oh my god, they just totally ripped off the character. But
So this is basically a retelling of Les Miserables.
yeah, very much so. This movie specifically.
24601.
The thing is, though, friggin' the most recent version of Les Mis that had come out in the 90s, of course, featured Uma Thurman as Fantine.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, who was then later played by Anne Hathaway, who would later go on to be Catwoman
Everything's
in The Dark Knight Rises, which also featured Bane. And of course, Liam Neeson was Jean Valjean in that version as well. So Liam Neeson, Ra's al Ghul himself. It all ties in. He was intricate to the origin of story of Bane in The Dark Knight Rises as well. So it all blends in.
God,
Everything
that's
is
crazy.
Batman.
It is. It really is. This whole scene, right? Because they're going to drill holes into his head here. The whole scene has 2 vibes to me. One, James Bond. This is like something they would capture Bond, they'd strap him down, there'd be villains watching, you know. It's a bit like the laser beam going up, you know. And also Indiana Jones. I thought of Temple of Doom,
Yeah.
which of course Indiana Jones.
Galima.
Indiana Jones was Lucas and Spielberg going, what if we did like a James Bond thing, but in the past? So it's all connected again.
Yeah. I'm not weirded out by these guys carrying them, though, because I'm just wondering about their outfits. Like, one of them's got like an Australian Outback hat on, and the other one's got like a MAGA cap on, but he has like a yellow balaclava over his whole face. It's like, what is this? Who are these
Make
guys?
Gotham great again.
Oh, no. We're still traumatized. You can't do that to us.
Too soon.
Again, we can't say anything. Our government's goddamn awful.
Although, and actually, if you freeze though on the minute in like second 33, as they're carrying him in, you see in the background all these like vials of liquid, and they're all different colors. Again, reminded me of in Rocky Horror when he's Frankenfurter's creating Rocky. He's got all the multicolored
It's
liquid
just
going
dye.
into the tank.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that might have been like, Joel Schumacher's like, oh, this is, I'm a fan. You know, I'm a musical guy. I will go on to make Phantom of the Opera.
Well, if he's a certain age and identifying as gay, I'm sure Rocky Horror was incredibly important to him.
Oh God, yeah. I
You
mean,
know?
even
100%.
today, you know, to queer people, it's huge.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of noted out for minute 17. I don't know if you guys got anything else you want to bring up particular to this minutes, or shall we move on?
I'm trying to think.
I
Because next we're gonna see what happens with does he get the mask put on next minute?
Yeah. Tell us about Bane. Why does he wear the mask?
But no, that's I'm noted out now.
Yeah. I think we can move
We'll
on.
head off once more into the dark, dark night. So, you know, come speak to us on all the social media, blah, 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 all that nonsense. And we'll see you again on Friday for more Bat Minute and Robin.
Next time, Holy Super Soldier Serum Soaked Psycho! Putting into play the pieces of his plan, a floronic fiend proves that in just 7 seconds, he can mutate a man.
A miserable miscreant may be mutilated during this demonstrably monstrous demonstration, but what marvelous mixture might lead to his mortifying muscle inflation? Make sure to mask up for next time, Bat-Minuteers.
Same Bat Pod, different Bat Minute.
We'll be back.
back.